On September 20, 1519, Magellan left San Lucar, leading a fleet of 5 ships with 270 men to start the circumnavigation trip. The main goal was to find a westward route to Spice Islands. The fleet landed South America at the Bay of Rio de Janeiro and stayed there for 2 weeks. The fleet stayed at Puerto San Julián and Rio Santa Cruz for 6 months to wait for the spring, during which one ship was lost in a storm. From October 21 to November 28, 1520, the fleet managed to pass the Strait of Magellan. One of the ships, San Antonio, gave up the expedition and sailed back to Spain. The remaining 3 ships finally sailed across the Pacific and arrived at Guam on March 6, 1521, where they encountered and fought with Chamorro people. Seven days after leaving Guam, the fleet arrived in Philippine Islands, where they are greeted by local rulers. Involved into clashes between local rulers, Magellan was killed in the Battle of Mactan on April 27. 4 days later, 30 fleet officers including Magellan's successors, were killed on a local banquet. Not having enough people to operate all 3 ships, the ship Concepcion was emptied and burned on May 2. The remaining 2 ships searched for Spice Islands for half a year. They finally arrived at Tidore and purchased tons of spices. On December 15, 1521, the ship Victoria started its homeward journey, while the ship Trinidad stayed for repair and was later captured by the Portuguese. On July 9, 1522, ship time, July 10 local time, the only remaining ship Victoria arrived at Cape Verde. The crew first pretended to be back from America, but the Portuguese soon found the spices and detained 13 people before the remaining people escaped. On September 6, 1522, Victoria finally got back to Maluku after almost 3 years. Only 18 of the 270 men were still on board. 17 more people returned later after being released from Portuguese captivity.